everyone, I'm Dawn from Creative Appliques. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell down below to be notified when I upload new content. On my channel, we talk all things machine embroidery and give you tips and tricks on how to make it easier and more fun. In today's video, we're going to have a fun little project for you. When you're doing in the hoop projects, you have many pieces of fabric and batting and lining that you need for your specific projects. But how do you keep them all organized? Well, today we have a fun little project for you that will be a way for you to keep yourself organized to know what pieces are what. Today we have a little thread spools that have all the letters of the alphabet plus numbers from 1 through 20. There's also a blank one as well that you can put vinyl on and use a dry erase marker. So if this sounds intriguing to you, stay tuned. So what are we doing with these pieces? What are they used for? Well, when you are making some in the hoop projects or quilting projects, you have lots and lots of different pieces of fabric and the outside fabric and the lining fabric and the batting and all the different pieces that you have. And so one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you have the pieces labeled exactly what they are so that when you're reading out the instructions, you know what piece comes where and that you have it cut specifically for when it's going to be used. So I decided to come up with these in the hoop thread spools with the alphabet on. And it comes with, so the set comes with the entire alphabet, A through Z, and numbers 1 through 20. And it also comes with a blank one so that you can sew just the blank one if you want. And one of the things you can do when you're sewing the blank one is you could put a piece of clear vinyl on top of it at the same time that when you attach the back fabric, you can put the top fabric, the top clear vinyl on it, and then that way you can use a dry erase marker if you want to, if you have other projects that you're doing as well. So you could sew up the entire alphabet in all the numbers, but then if you're doing, multiple projects where you need a whole bunch of A's and a whole bunch of B's and a whole bunch of C's because you're doing multiples of the same project, you can either sew up a whole bunch of sets like this, or you can sew up a whole bunch of blank ones with the clear vinyl and stitch and then use your dry erase marker to mark on these what pieces they are. So these are great for labeling your pattern pieces, but it's also great for being able to use it to label your scissors, for example. Or you can give it to one of your sewing buddies as a, for a keychain. So there's many options and ideas that you can use this little design for, but we wanted to show you all the options. Also, another thing to be aware of is that the file comes with each letter as an individual file. But then I also sorted them so you have the entire alphabet and numbers that are broken up into the 4x4 hoop, the 5x7 hoop, the 6x10 hoop, and then you can do all the letters at one time in one hooping in the 9x14 hoop. So you're going to want to make sure whatever hoop size you pick that you have the size vinyl that you need for that hoop. So the way the design is going to stitch out is it's going to stitch a rectangle to show you where the fabric needs to be placed. The next thing it's going to stitch is a rectangle around that to tack down the top piece. Then it'll sew the letter. You'll attach the bottom piece underneath the hoop, right side out, wrong side against the stabilizer, and then you will tack down that last the back to the front. Let's talk about the supplies you need for creating these designs. What I used is I used vinyl, marine vinyl. You can find it in the rolls in the back of Joann's, the large rolls that are used for upholstery and heavy duty fabrics. So you could use that. I used it on the front and the back. It's a great project to use up all those little scraps of vinyl that you may have laying around. There are two other options you could use as well. You can use fabric, and I would treat it with Heat and Bond Light on the back so that it has that iron-on glue adhesive that then after you sewed the project, you can then iron it and the pieces will be glued together. So that's an option too. You can also use felt, and felt will work as well to be able to use up your scraps of felt that you may have. You're going to want to have a stabilizer. I used a cutaway so that it was a little more stability in here. With the vinyl, it's pretty strong and stable, so you don't need a lot of stabilizer, but you can use either a poly mesh. You also can use a tearaway if you want, or you can use a regular type of cutaway instead of the poly mesh. You're going to need your hoop to make them so that they clip onto a clip. I got these loose leaf binder rings. These are the 1/2 inch size. It works if you have little pliers that can help you attach it. So these are Wonder Clips, and there's a little hole in the back of them. Now some brands, the hole isn't as big, and so I wasn't able to use these loose leaf rings on them. But if you can find the actual Wonder Clip brand, these are the ones that the clip went through. You can also use a paper clip if you wish and feed it in through the hole and feed it in through the hole of the spool here. Or these are the larger Wonder Clips as well. So that is an option. You can also attach them to a safety pin if you wish, and then that way you can pin it right onto your project. And then you will need some type of hole punch. What I used and prefer, because you have better accuracy with it, is this Japanese screw punch. You can also use a crop-a-dial if you have one, but again, it's a little bit harder to see getting your piece in there specifically at the hole and not cutting the stitching. The stitching isn't important to keep right here. It's not important to keep this stitching, so if you punch the hole a little bigger than that and it removes the stitching, that's okay. It's just there as a guideline for you. So now we will load the design to the machine and get started with the steps. We have the 4x4 hoop loaded to the machine, and I have some tearaway stabilizer here, and now I am going to sew the first step. This first step is going to be a square to show you where to place your fabric on top. Going to slide the hoop off just a little bit. I'm going to take the vinyl that I'm using and place it on top of the square, covering all of the stitching, and I'm going to tape it out of the way. This is just some paper tape. You can find it at the dollar stores. Put the hoop back on, and I'm going to change my thread to the pink thread that I want to use. The next thing that is going to stitch is the letter. So the second step we stitched was the square to tack down the vinyl. You will cut that off in the end so it won't be a square. But next we're going to stitch the letter. Now we're going to remove the back of the hoop from the machine. We can take this tape off because we can use it for the back. To turn the hoop over and place the vinyl covering the stitching, just like we did on the front. Being careful not to press too hard. We don't want to push and alter where the stabilizer is in the hoop. So that was on the back side with the right side up, the wrong side against the stabilizer. I'm going to turn the hoop over and make sure it is flat underneath. Slide the hoop back on. And stitch the final step, which is going to be the outline of the thread spool and the circle. Okay, it's done stitching. So now I will meet you back at the cutting table to clean it up. So I'm going to trim some of the little threads that didn't get cut. I'm going to remove it from the hoop. So I use some tearaway so I can tear it away now, or I could just kind of leave it in there so it adds a little more support. I'm not going to get it obviously from the inside of the stitching, but from the outside I can remove it. So now I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut around the spool, leaving about a good 1/4 of an inch maybe. This is personal preference. Obviously you can leave it longer to make it a little bigger if you wish. You can stitch close to the straight basting stitch if you want. And now you can snip into the sides if you would like to actually have the spool. You want to remember when you're cutting to always move your project, not your scissors. These are Kai scissors, K-A-I. I've had them for probably 30 years and they are amazing. I think I've had them sharpened once. You can get a lighter if you want and burn these little edges of the thread. So now I have my Japanese screw punch, and I think this is the 2.5 one. I'll make sure and put it on the video, but I just put it in the center there and twist, and it came right out. So that's a good size for this project. So to have it like this, I just use some pliers because it's a little hard for my hands to get them to open. And sometimes the pliers too. It just depends on which one it is, and sometimes it's just... And you put it through the hole and put it so that you want it to be like this if you're going to be clipping on the fabric so you can see it. So like that, and then you can snap it together. Just like that. And now you have this ready to go for when you have pieces of fabric that you've cut and you have a project that you want to be able to have the pieces labeled. I also wanted to show you another option for this design as well. If you would like, you can do rivets in here. So you probably want to maybe cut the hole a little bit bigger. You'll need to have the hole bigger here. So this is where the crocodile would come in really well to go into. So it is going to cut through the stitching, but when you have a rivet, you're not really going to need it. You're not going to need this stitching there. That stitching, like I said, is just a guideline. So now I'll put the rivet in, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it this time. I'm going to put a nice little chain on it here, and I'm going to put it on my scissors. And this way, when you go to sewing classes or anything like that, you can have a nice little tag on your scissors. So that's another option for these designs as well. Let me know in the comments if you have other ideas or what else you would use these for. It is a great little project to be able to label all your pieces and also have everything stay organized and labeled. I hope you enjoyed this video today, guys. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell to be notified when I upload new content. Thanks for joining me today, and until next time, make your life creative.